Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Darla Ray and I'm going to actually be doing a book review this time around. The book is called I Have a Testimony and it was written by Brad Smith. And it is, let me just say, it was copyrighted 2020 by Brad Smith and Brad Smith Ministries. I will be posting a link on how you can order this book. Y'all, I am spending time at the lake with the Lord, and many times in my life, because I read for a living, I'm a reading teacher, or I used to be until I resigned my job. So, but my profession as an educator, I read a lot for work. And I read a lot in class, and I read a lot for my students, so that when I got home, reading was not the first thing on my agenda. Reading was not something I wanted to do in my leisure time, especially because my eyes would be tired and my brain would be exhausted. I wanted to do things that did not require me to think much when I got home. So I've spent this time at the lake, and I brought this book with me because I've had it. I'm embarrassed to say I've had it for probably a year and a half. It is autographed by the author, and I'm excited about that. And I'm keeping this book. You can't have it and you can't borrow it, because when you purchase this book at a very minimal cost, you are also helping Brad Smith Ministries go into all the world and preach the gospel. So I highly recommend that you purchase the book, because y'all, I've had the book for a year and a half, and like I said, I'm ashamed to say it, I have not read it until just now. I started reading it yesterday and I finished it today, and y'all, I just gotta say that I cried, I laughed, I wept out loud, I rose my hand and I said, "Glory, hallelujah, praise Jesus," during the reading of this book. If you are struggling in your faith at all, if you have never seen a miracle happen and you need to know that God still works today, that God still performs miracles today, you need to read this book. If you have seen God work in your life in the past, but you need a reminder of how good God is, of how his faithfulness works, of how he heals, how he delivers, how he sets us free, how he cares about the details of our lives, you need to read this book. I'm telling you, y'all, you will not be disappointed. Brad Smith, he writes his story. It's just chapters full of testimony. That's all it is. It is not an autobiography by any means. It's just chapters of testimony. And that's what I love. It's so easy to read. I can put it down and I finished a chapter, I finished a story. And then I can pick it back up and there's another story. And y'all, as I was reading this book, I was reminded so much of how God has worked in my life and how God has performed miracles in my own life. And I was reminded of how God provided for me at a time when I had $3 to my name, an eighth a tank of gas, and I told the Lord I needed groceries, because I was a single mom living by myself with 3 kids. We were down to like 1 bag of rice, and we needed groceries. I needed money for gas, and I wanted to tithe or give an offering, and I also wanted to get to church, and I had a substituting job to get to on Monday. But I had an eighth a tank of gas and $3 to my name. Y'all, the Lord provided. He provided that day. And there's a story in here that reminded me of that. There's a story in here that reminded me of God, of when God called me into ministry. There's a story in here that reminds me of other stories that I've heard. There's stories in here that remind me of God's goodness and his faithfulness and how miracles still happen today. And it's a short book. It's an easy read. It's not hard to read at all. And if you buy this book, you are supporting missionaries. You are supporting a ministry that goes into Africa. And y'all, I'm just telling you, you got to get this book. Support Brad Smith Ministries. He's not paying me to say this. I asked him permission. I said, hey, this book inspired me. It encouraged me. It uplifted me. It pumped me up. Can I do a book review? And he was like, yeah, sure. And so I'm doing a book review. I'm just telling you, I have a testimony by Brad Smith. I will post the link on how to get this book. Support this ministry, y'all, and pray. If nothing else, pray. But this is a great book. If you want to be encouraged in your faith, get this book.